So as we enter the final week of the summer transfer window at Nottingham Forest, it is time to really start making some decisions when it comes to incomings and outgoings. We've got less than a week now to get any remaining players through the door and to finally maybe shift out some deadwood too. This video is very heavily centred around the fullback areas, having had a whole summer worth talking about the attack and revamping the attack. We are clearly now turning our attention to fullback, but we've got less than a week to do it. Forest also want to sign a backup goalkeeper too. This is all being reported by The Telegraph and The Athletic. When it comes to John Percy, David Ornstein, probably some of the most reliable sources in football. So you can hope and think that all of this is at least true. So let's just see what happens in this next week. I'm sure it's going to be absolutely mental. We've even got a couple of outgoing rumours this week too that do catch the eye a bit more than normal. And you know what, I'm going to start with that. I'm going to be wild and wacky and talk about the possible shock departure of Ibrahim Sangare. This one for me would make absolutely no sense at all. Having had a great start to the season, why on earth would we be loaning out one of our most important midfielders now to West Ham, a club ultimately that are in a really bad place at the moment? It would be a big downgrade for Sangare, and he's finally starting to show his true colours in a good way. We're seeing the best of him now. It would be idiotic, in my opinion, to let him go. I cannot see Forest letting him go either. Why would we do that when we spent so much money on him? We're finally starting to see him, show his best. This would just be really silly. Let me know in the comments what you think of this, because I haven't really got much more to say about it other than the fact that it would be a really stupid deal if it was to happen, because then you've got less than a week to go and sign a replacement. It just wouldn't make sense to me. But have you tried Match Bingo? I don't know why I just did that. Well, if you haven't tried Match Bingo, you ought to. Match Bingo combines football, sports betting and bingo all into one combined app. We have seen over £200,000 be won so far by people who have played Match Bingo. That's quite a lot of money. It's like normal bingo, but it is football based, so therefore more interesting. The deal for this game is buy 4, get 1 free. So make sure you don't miss out. Download Match Bingo using the link in the description below this video, or the QR code on screen right now. Download Match Bingo to support the channel. Thank you. Before we talk about fullback though, let's talk about another player who we've been linked with before in Bakwa, a Strasbourg winger, 23 years of age, 35 million is being spoken about. We spoke about him a couple of weeks ago. It seemed to go a bit quiet. Leeds have shown interest in the player. Well, we seem to be back in for him, having had a £27.5 million bid plus £7.5 million in add-ons being rejected. It looks like Forest may have struck a deal for £35 million, personal terms being agreed. It all seems a bit vague though. I don't know which one's actually true, so we're going to have to wait this out. I mean, I generally don't know what's happening with this. Do we even desperately need to bring in another forward? I think we clearly need to focus on fullback now and then probably a backup goalkeeper. If we didn't sign Bakwa, I wouldn't be really worried, because ultimately we've signed a lot of forwards. We've brought in 2 strikers to replace the 1 striker we needed to replace in Tyrell Wane, who is also being linked with a move to Germany and Werder Bremen, which is probably the best thing for him to do. He needs to go and get some regular minutes. I may as well mention that while I'm mentioning him at this point. But not only signing a number of strikers, but also upgrading Jota Silva, Sosa, and then having to replace Alanga, we've signed 3 wingers. We've signed 2 strikers. We've also signed James McAtee. And really, it makes you think, do we need a forward? Because McAtee can also play out wide. Which does make me think, is this completely necessary? And we're surely going to see a big name most weeks not make the bench. I mean, this is the luxury we're now going to have. But it just feels like, do we really need this to happen? I'm not saying we shouldn't do it. Get your thoughts in the comments on Bakwa, but it doesn't feel like it's a complete priority at this point for me. That would be fullback. And let's talk about this, because 4 of these are being reported by The Athletic. It looks like one of these in each position is first choice. The other one is like a second choice option at both left back and right back. On the left side, we've got Joachim Says. This is a Club Brugge left back, 20 years of age this one. Played in the Champions League, played a lot of football last season at only 20. Very, very good pedigree. There's been no contact from Forest so far to Club Brugge on this one. It's worth pointing out that he's recently signed a new deal at Brugge, and they've also sold another one of their fullbacks to Brighton this summer, so they're really going to let go of another fullback with less than a week to go. Probably not. But I think this is just the sort of player we need to bring in. Somebody who's not going to come in and necessarily dislodge Ola Aina and Nico Williams. Those two, we cannot understate how important and how great they are. They don't need to be replaced. Obviously, we need to see games where maybe some of them don't start, just to give them a bit of time off, because you saw how much football they played last season. They were both knackered by the end of games. Ola Aina, within half an hour of every game last season, seemed to have his hands on his legs, just really tired. So we need to be able to manage those minutes better. I think Says, being 20 and inexperienced in the Premier League, but got a lot of experience elsewhere, is the sort of profile we should be going after. The backup option to Says is Victor Kristiansen. Now this is definitely somebody that wouldn't be coming in and starting games, but could offer something. And this is somebody that I think is definitely going to split opinion, because yeah, the Leicester connection probably plays a part, but as a player, I think it's probably the fact that at Leicester wasn't best spoken about by their fans. I think it's well known that he wasn't too great at Leicester. Some have said some very strong words about him. And having spoken to a couple of Leicester fans I know personally, they both say that he is a good player with potential, but lacks experience, lacks a bit of pace, isn't that good at centre-back, because he can play at centre-back too. But one of them also told me that with a good coach, he could become a very good player. Maybe that's a dig at Leicester for not having very good managers. He has also played at a high level with Bologna. He helped them qualify for the Champions League. He's also played in the Champions League and the Conference League with Copenhagen. So he has actually got quite a good pedigree, Victor Kristiansen, but based off his time at Leicester, I can completely see why some would be like, I'm not sure about that one. When it comes to the right back, we've got 3 players being linked with us. Of course, last week I spoke about Matty Cash. It looks like that one is too difficult to get over the line. I don't even really know how far we've gone with that. Seemingly not that far. Probably why we're after 3 players in that position now too. The first option in this position is by far the highest profile player of all these fullbacks in Nihil Molina. Probably somebody that would want to come in and start games. So this is a very different profile to Kristiansen and Says and the other 2 right backs in this video I'm going to talk about. Molina has a very high profile about him, having played 52 times for Argentina and played a big part in their World Cup campaign a couple of years ago, or a few years ago at this point. 136 appearances as well for Atletico Madrid and previously played for Udinese. So this is somebody with a lot of experience, a lot of pedigree, would absolutely be a fit for European football and probably would want to try his chance at playing in the Premier League. However, he wants to stay at Atletico Madrid, so the alternative could be Geertruida. Him. He's an RB Leipzig right back, and I cannot say his name correctly, so thank you Google. 17 caps for the Netherlands, and a second choice option clearly to Molina. Played over 200 times for Feyenoord as well, and 35 times with Leipzig last season. He can also play as a centre-back, and this is possibly a loan deal I've seen. He could be leaving on loan. I've seen big clubs be linked with this player too. 25, so he's a bit older than the players I've spoken about in this video. Not as old as Molina, but he's older than the 2 on the left-hand side. So, you know, I don't think that makes a difference. I'm not sure how likely this is to happen, but it is somebody Forest are lining up. Okay, surely we're done with fullbacks. No, we're not. There's one more being linked with in Nicola Savannah. Probably said that wrong too, but who cares at this point? Juventus right back, 22 years of age this one, and 28 appearances in his only senior season last year with Juventus. He only just this summer signed a new 5-year contract with Juventus, so I would imagine that's quite hard to see him leave if he's committed himself like that. He can also play at centre-back, and this is interesting because a couple of these players I've spoken about can play at centre-back. Kristiansen, the guy I can't pronounce, and Savannah. 3 of these fullbacks can play at centre-back, and I don't think that's something we are just happening to have available. I think we want somebody who maybe could play both if need be. Just like Says, I think this is just the sort of profile we want to go after and should be going after, because it would give us, I think, the perfect balance. Let's drop even further back now and talk about goalkeeper. Having signed Angus Gunn, Forest do need a 3rd player. Angus Gunn, I mean, if he had to play 10 games in a row, would we trust him? I'm not so sure. So let's talk about two of these. Both these keepers have been linked with us as of 2 years ago. So there's clearly long-standing interest in these two players. The first one is Livakovic, somebody who we should all be quite aware of if we've watched the World Cup in enough detail, as he's been very important to Croatia in the last few tournaments. 66 caps for Croatia and nearly 300 appearances for Dinamo Zagreb, but nowadays he plays for Fenerbahce and has played also over 70 times for them. So again, very good pedigree, somebody Forest have been linked with before, and I think would be an unbelievable backup option for us, like incredible backup option. And he has found himself out of favour recently at Fenerbahce. I think an even more ideal backup option though would be David Surya. This is a Getafe goalkeeper. He spent the last 7 seasons straight as their #1 goalkeeper. Also played for Sevilla and has briefly played in the Europa League before too, enough to win the Europa League. Something that we're going to be playing in this season. He's played over 260 games for Getafe, somebody Forest have had interest in as of 2 years ago. So again, I believe that both of these goalkeeper links are true because Forest have wanted these players for a while. So I would probably favour Surya because he's a little bit older than Livakovic. I think as a keeper it doesn't really matter, but somebody who would probably be more prepared to be a backup option, and I think would be just what we need really. Now the outgoing rumours, I've already spoken about Tyro and Sangare. There is one other, and I think fittingly, the final thing I'm going to talk about in this video, Emmanuel Dennis. Yes, he is still a Forest player technically. He does still, well, he's contracted to Forest. I was going to say play for Forest. He doesn't play for Forest. He's not played for us since 2022. So that's not going to happen. Wait, I'm sorry. I think it might have been 23 because he did play in that season. Not much or very well though. There is interest from within Italy, that's all we know. Whether it's Serie A or Serie B, we don't know, but I'm just going to say Serie A. There's even been talks about a potential contract termination. I don't even know why it's even really a debate. I know there might be reasons why you wouldn't want to do that, but him and Josh Bowler just terminate their contracts. Why are they still at the club? They should be long gone. That's all I can really say. Just leave, Dennis, really. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Very fullback heavy, goalkeeper heavy, and then, you know, possibly another forward coming in what is the final week of the transfer window. So we'll be keeping tabs of it all this week. If anything big happens, I'll be sure to do a video on it, and I most likely will do something on deadline day itself as well, so stay tuned. Also, don't miss my stream this Friday. I'm going to be doing a live reaction to the Europa League draw this Friday. Don't miss it out because that's sure going to be historic, me reacting to that. 12 o'clock, don't miss it. So thank you for watching this video everyone. Please like, subscribe to Rads if you're new, and up the Reds.